In the depths of an uncharted forest, where the trees stretched high into the sky, their canopies forming a dense green roof, there existed a tribe unlike any other. This tribe was composed entirely of giant women, each standing nearly twice the height of an average man. They were known as the Amazari, a name that meant the mothers of the stars in their ancient tongue. Their skin shimmered with an ethereal glow, and their eyes sparkled like the clearest night sky. They were as beautiful as they were imposing, their presence a blend of awe and mystery. For generations, the Amazari lived in harmony with the forest. Their culture was rich with traditions centered around the moon goddess, Lamaris, who they believed granted them strength and wisdom. The women were skilled hunters, weavers, and artisans, but they faced an existential threat that loomed over their serene existence: their inability to bear children without a male of their kind, and the last of their men had vanished decades ago, leaving behind a tribe of aging women and a dwindling population. As the eldest of the tribe, Zura, the high priestess, had the foresight to understand that the survival of her people was at stake. One evening, during the monthly moonlight gathering, she addressed the tribe with a mixture of urgency and hope. Her voice echoed through the circle of towering figures, each adorned in silver and blue garments that reflected the moonlight. "My sisters," Zura began, her gaze sweeping over her kin, "the time has come for us to act. Our seers have foreseen the arrival of a stranger from beyond our borders, a human man destined to help us preserve our lineage. We must find him and bring him to our midst. It is the will of Lamaris." The tribe listened intently, their faces a tapestry of emotions, hope, skepticism, and desperation. Among them stood Lyria, a young huntress known for her fierce spirit and unwavering bravery. She stepped forward, her voice resonant and confident. "I will find this man," she declared, her declaration met with murmurs of approval and anxious glances. "I will venture beyond the forbidden waterfall and into the lands of the low people. I will bring him here not by force, but by showing him the honor and beauty of our tribe." Preparations began at dawn. Lyria was adorned with the ceremonial garb of a scout, a cloak woven from the silken threads of moon spiders, known for their reflective beauty and strength. Her quiver was filled with arrows tipped in silver, and her bow, a masterpiece of craftsmanship, was strung tight and ready. As the sun crested over the horizon, casting long shadows through the thick foliage, Lyria set out on her quest. The forest whispered around her, leaves rustling and birds calling, as if nature itself was aware of the gravity of her mission. Days turned into weeks as she traversed through dense woods, crossed raging rivers, and climbed steep cliffs. Eventually, she reached the outskirts of a small village where humans resided. Her arrival did not go unnoticed. The villagers, accustomed to their simple lives and fearful of the unknown, stared in awe and fear at the giant woman who moved with grace despite her size. Children hid behind their parents, and whispers spread like wildfire. Lyria knew she must tread carefully. She approached the village square, where a young man, tall and broad-shouldered, stood watching her with a curious gaze rather than fear. His eyes held a spark that spoke of a keen mind and a brave heart. This was Tom, a wanderer who had stumbled upon the village only months before, seeking new tales to tell and adventures to experience. "Are you the one foretold by our seers?" Lyria asked, her voice gentle yet carrying the weight of her mission. Tom, intrigued by this extraordinary encounter, replied with a respectful nod. "My name is Tom. I am but a traveler. What brings a giantess like yourself to our humble village?" Lyria smiled, a gesture that softened the lines of her face. "A quest for the future," she began, her words weaving a tale of her people, their culture, and their plight. "I seek a man of courage and heart, willing to embrace a destiny larger than himself." Tom listened, his interest piqued by her story and the sincerity in her eyes. As the sun began to set, casting golden hues over the village, he made a decision that would change not only his life but also the future of the Amazari. "I will come with you," he said, his voice firm. "I will see your lands and meet your people. Together, we will find a way to ensure your tribe's future." With hearts filled with a mixture of hope and uncertainty, Lyria and Tom set off back toward the hidden realm of the Amazari, unaware of the challenges and wonders that awaited them. As Lyria and Tom crossed the boundary where the dense forest of the Amazari melded with the softer woods of the human lands, the air grew thicker, saturated with the ancient magic that guarded the tribe's domain. The trees loomed larger here, their trunks wide as houses and their branches forming a tapestry of green and silver leaves. It was a realm where reality seemed to bend, light filtering through the foliage in ethereal beams that seemed almost solid enough to touch. Tom, though initially overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the forest, soon found himself enchanted by the otherworldly beauty of the place. Lyria, seeing the awe on his face, felt a swell of pride for her homeland. She explained the unique flora and fauna they encountered, from the whispering vines that could heal wounds to the luminescent bugs that danced around them like living embers. As they delved deeper into the territory of the Amazari, Lyria introduced Tom to the sacred rituals and technologies of her people. The giant women had harnessed the natural energies of the forest to power luminous crystals that served as light sources and helped grow their food. They cultivated giant fruits and vegetables, and their structures were built high up in the trees, interconnected by bridges woven from the strongest vines. One evening, as they rested under the canopy of a colossal tree, Lyria pulled out a device that resembled a transparent slate. It shimmered with light at her touch, revealing intricate symbols and images that moved across its surface. "This is how we record our history," she explained. "It uses light and crystal technology to preserve our memories." Tom was fascinated. "It's like nothing I've seen before," he admitted, tracing a finger along the glowing symbols. "Your people have knowledge that could change the world." Lyria nodded, a hint of sadness in her eyes. "And yet we are fading. Without help, all of this will disappear into the mists of time." Their conversation was interrupted by a rustle in the underbrush. Lyria stood swiftly, her hand on the hilt of a knife at her belt. From the shadows stepped another Amazari, taller even than Lyria, with hair that cascaded down her back like a waterfall of molten gold. "Lyria, who have you brought into our sacred lands?" the newcomer demanded, her eyes fixed on Tom with a piercing gaze. "This is Tom," Lyria responded calmly, stepping slightly in front of him as if to shield him from her counterpart's intensity. "He is the one our seers have spoken of. He comes to learn, to understand, and possibly to help us." The other giantess studied Tom for a long moment before nodding slowly. "I am Scylla, the tribe's lorekeeper. If you are to stay among us, you must understand our ways deeply and respect our traditions." Her tone was stern, but not unkind. Tom bowed his head slightly, showing his respect. "I am here to learn and to help if I can." Scylla turned and beckoned them to follow her. "There is much to show you and little time to waste." They followed Scylla to what appeared to be a laboratory, filled with devices and instruments crafted from a blend of organic material and shimmering crystal. Here, the Amazari conducted experiments that blended science with their ancient magic, a synthesis of knowledge both old and new. Tom was introduced to the principles of bioluminescence they used for lighting and the genetic modifications they applied to their crops to sustain their giant sizes. Scylla demonstrated a device that captured the essence of moonlight and used it to enhance the growth of their plant life. "This is incredible," Tom murmured, his mind racing with the implications of such technology. "Yes," Scylla agreed, "but it is also a symbol of our desperation. We innovate to survive, but survival is not enough. We need to thrive, to grow once more." As days turned into weeks, Tom immersed himself in the culture and technology of the Amazari, his initial awe maturing into a profound respect. Lyria watched his transformation with a hopeful heart, knowing that the fate of her people might well rest in the hands of this human who had come to them from a world so different from their own. The days Tom spent with the Amazari deepened his understanding not only of their advanced technologies but also of the intricate dynamics within the tribe. The giant women, though united by their common plight, were individuals with distinct roles and personalities, each contributing to the tribe's survival in unique ways. Tom's initial role as an outsider gradually shifted as he began to contribute ideas, blending his knowledge of human technology with the Amazari's methods. Lyria took it upon herself to train Tom in the physical arts of the tribe, teaching him how to scale the colossal trees with agility that belied their size, and how to harness the natural energy currents that the Amazari used for transportation and communication. Tom, in return, introduced Lyria to human concepts and mechanical designs that could potentially enhance the efficiency of their energy harnessing techniques. One afternoon, while working in a high-canopy lab, Tom unveiled a prototype of a device he had been conceptualizing, inspired by the Amazari's technology. It was a compact energy converter that could potentially double the efficiency of the energy harvest from the bioluminescent plants. Scylla, observing the test run, offered rare, measured praise. "You have a keen mind, Tom," she acknowledged. "Your design integrates seamlessly with our technology. It's as if you have begun to think like one of us." Her words marked a significant acceptance of Tom into the community, an acknowledgement that he was no longer just a visitor but a contributing member of the tribe. This acceptance spurred Tom to delve even deeper into the core of Amazari technology, particularly their genetic archives, a library of biological data that the Amazari had been collecting and experimenting with for centuries. The genetic archives were a treasure trove of information, containing data not only about the Amazari but also about various species of plants and animals from their environment that had been modified to better serve the tribe's needs. With Scylla's guidance, Tom began to understand the complexities of their genetic engineering, how it was used to adapt to their ever-changing world. It was during one of their sessions in the archives that Scylla brought up the sensitive subject of reproductive technology. "Our genetic modifications have always been focused on adaptation and survival," she explained, her voice echoing slightly in the vast root-entwined chamber. "But we have never been able to solve our most pressing issue, the decline in our fertility rates." Tom listened intently, aware of the gravity of the issue at hand. "Could we try to apply human reproductive technologies here? Perhaps there are techniques that could be adapted to meet your specific needs." Scylla considered this, her brow furrowed. "It's possible. Human technology is not as advanced in genetic modification as ours, but it has taken different paths we may not have explored." Encouraged by Scylla's openness, Tom proposed setting up a dedicated research team to tackle this challenge, combining the best of both human and Amazari reproductive science. The proposal was ambitious and required a deep trust and sharing of knowledge that few outside the tribe had ever been granted. As the new project commenced, Tom found himself at the heart of not just technological innovation but also cultural integration. His days were filled with collaborative research, intense study, and the sharing of ideas that bridged two vastly different worlds. Meanwhile, Lyria observed Tom's integration into her tribe with mixed emotions. She was pleased with his contributions and the hope they brought, but she also felt an unsettling shift in the dynamic of her relationship with him. Once purely his guide and protector, she now saw him as an equal, a partner in the quest to save her people. This new recognition stirred feelings in her that went beyond respect, hinting at deeper, more personal bonds. As they worked late one evening, refining the prototype converter under the soft glow of bioluminescent light, Lyria decided to address the change. "Tom, do you realize how much you've changed since you arrived?" she asked, her voice low and thoughtful. Tom paused, looking up from the device. "I feel like I've been here much longer than I actually have. I've learned so much, not just about your technology but about what it means to be part of a community like this." Lyria nodded, her gaze meeting his. "And you are part of this community now, Tom. More than you know." Her words hung between them, charged with unspoken meaning, as they both returned to their work, aware that the path ahead was as much about exploring their relationship as it was about securing the future of the Amazari. As the collaborative project advanced, the Amazari's habitat became an incubator for a fusion of human and giant technologies. The energy converter prototype that Tom had developed was now in its final stages, and the early results were promising. It had significantly increased the efficiency of power extraction from the bioluminescent plants, leading to a surge in energy reserves. The success brought a palpable sense of excitement throughout the tribe, sparking discussions about further applications of the combined technologies. Tom's role evolved during this period, seeing him transition from contributor to innovator. He became deeply involved in the planning of a new sector in the Amazari community, a research hub that would serve as a dedicated space for continued technological integration and development. The design of the hub was inspired by both Amazari and human architectural styles, with sweeping curves that mimicked the natural arcs of the forest and modular sections that could be easily adapted or expanded as needed. The research into reproductive technologies also made significant strides. The team, led by Tom and Sila, was on the brink of a breakthrough. They had identified a potential method to enhance fertility using a combination of Amazari genetic techniques and human hormonal treatments. The process was delicate, and the implications were profound, necessitating careful ethical considerations and the consent of the tribe. During a council meeting held in the heart of the forest, beneath the ancient meeting tree, the elders and the scientific team gathered to discuss the new fertility protocol. Tom presented their findings, supported by Sila and other key members of the research team. The presentation was met with mixed reactions. Hope and concern were equally present in the eyes of the attendees. "We are on the cusp of ensuring our tribe's continuity, but we must proceed with caution," Sila emphasized. "This technology has the power to change our very essence. We must decide together how to use it." The debate that followed was intense. Ethical considerations were weighed against the survival of the tribe. Some elders argued for the preservation of traditional methods, fearing the unknown repercussions of the new technology, while others advocated for the adoption of the protocol, citing the critical need for a solution to their declining population. Amid the debate, Lyria stood and spoke, her voice clear and resonant. "We have always adapted, always found ways to survive. This technology, this partnership with Tom, it's another adaptation. We must embrace it, not fear it. Let us test it carefully, but let us not delay our salvation." Her words swayed the council, and it was decided the new fertility protocol would be tested, initially on a volunteer group who understood the risks and possibilities. As the meeting dispersed, Tom found himself alongside Lyria, walking through the twilight-lit forest. Their conversation drifted from the council's decision to the broader impact of their work. It was clear that their partnership had evolved into something that neither had anticipated: a deep, mutual respect and a complex blend of professional and personal admiration. Lyria stopped by a glowing stream, the light from the bioluminescent plants illuminating her features. "Tom, do you ever think about what lies ahead? Beyond the technology, beyond the immediate crises?" Tom looked at her, sensing the shift in her tone. "I do. I think about what we're building here. It's more than just survival. It's a future. And I think about us, Lyria. About how we fit into that future." The air between them was charged with a new awareness, a recognition of their shared experiences and the unspoken feelings that had grown between them. Neither needed to voice it right then. The understanding was clear in their silence, in the shared gaze that lingered longer than necessary before they continued their walk, discussing plans for the new research hub. Their partnership had become the heart of the tribe's evolution, a symbol of the potential for two very different worlds to not only coexist but thrive together. As they moved forward, the lines between professional collaboration and personal connection blurred, weaving a complex tapestry that promised to redefine the destiny of the Amazari. The construction of the new research hub progressed rapidly, catalyzed by the shared enthusiasm of the tribe and the innovative fusion of human and Amazari technologies. The structure rose elegantly among the towering trees, its contours blending seamlessly with the natural environment. The design utilized living wood, trees shaped during their growth to form living walls and supports, a technique that Tom found both fascinating and beautiful. As the hub neared completion, attention returned to the experimental fertility protocol. The volunteer group, composed of Amazari women who had stepped forward, participated in rigorous health screenings and preparatory treatments. Tom and the scientific team monitored every step, aware of the profound responsibility they carried. The process was delicate, intertwining Amazari genetic enhancements with synthesized human hormonal treatments, designed to kickstart processes long dormant in the giantesses' bodies. Parallel to these scientific endeavors, Tom continued to immerse himself in the cultural aspects of the Amazari. He learned their language fluently, participated in their rituals, and even began to teach some of the younger tribe members about human history and science, which they absorbed with eager fascination. One clear evening, as the stars began to emerge in the twilight sky, Scylla invited Tom to attend a traditional ceremony dedicated to Lamaris, the moon goddess. The ceremony was held at the edge of light, a sacred site where the tree canopy opened to reveal the vast night sky. Here, the tribe gathered, their faces illuminated by starlight and the gentle glow of bioluminescent plants. Scylla, dressed in ceremonial robes that reflected the starlight, led the ritual. She chanted in the ancient tongue, her voice carrying across the gathering, invoking the goddess's blessings for their new endeavors. Tom, standing beside Lyria, felt a deep connection to the moment, to the people, and to the planet that was slowly becoming his home. After the ceremony, as the tribe dispersed, Lyria lingered with Tom, watching the stars. "You've become a part of us," she said softly, her voice full of emotion. "Do you feel that, Tom? Do you feel at home here?" Tom nodded, his eyes still fixed on the stars. "I do. More than I ever thought possible. There's something about this place, about you all, that resonates with me. It's as if I was meant to be here." Lyria smiled, her gaze meeting his. "And you think the stars agree?" she teased gently, but her eyes held a serious light. "I think they might," Tom replied, his tone equally playful yet earnest. As they turned to walk back to the village, their hands brushed lightly, a simple touch that held the promise of deeper bonds. The next morning brought news that would test all the hope and progress of the recent months. The initial results from the fertility treatments were in, and they were mixed. Some of the volunteers showed promising responses, but others experienced adverse effects that puzzled the scientific team. The tribe convened in an emergency meeting, the atmosphere tense with concern. Tom presented the findings with transparency, detailing both the successes and the setbacks. "We have learned a great deal," he explained, "and this knowledge will guide our next steps. We must consider these results as part of our journey, not as the end of it." The decision was made to pause the treatments to allow for further analysis and adjustment. This setback was a blow to the tribe, but the mood was not one of defeat. Instead, there was a sense of resolve, a collective determination to learn from the experience and continue striving for a solution. In the following weeks, Tom and the team delved into the data, working tirelessly to identify the causes of the adverse effects and to refine the treatment protocol. Lyria was by Tom's side throughout, her presence a constant reminder of the personal stakes involved in their scientific quest. As they worked, their relationship deepened, supported by their shared commitment to the tribe's future and their growing personal connection. In the quiet moments late at night in the lab, when the only sounds were the hum of equipment and the distant calls of night creatures, they talked about their hopes and fears, about the world they were trying to build. These conversations, filled with both scientific theories and personal revelations, revealed the depth of their partnership. It was a bond forged in the crucible of shared challenges and mutual respect, a bond that was becoming as vital to them as the work that had brought them together. As the weeks stretched into months, the research hub became a nexus of activity, not only for scientific progress but also for cultural exchange. The space that had once been a symbol of hope was now a bustling center where Amazari and human knowledge intertwined more deeply than ever. The revised protocols for the fertility treatments showed promising results in the lab, and the mood among the tribe and the research team was cautiously optimistic. During this period, Tom's technological innovations continued to flourish. He had developed a series of drones, adapted to the forest environment, that could monitor plant health and environmental conditions from above, minimizing the impact on the delicate ecosystem. The Amazari were fascinated by this blend of technology and ecology, and many of the tribe's younger members were eager to learn about the technology and assist in its deployment. Lyria, meanwhile, took a more active role in bridging the gap between the traditional council and the scientific team. She facilitated discussions that helped integrate the new technologies with the tribe's cultural practices, ensuring that every advancement respected and incorporated Amazari values. Her leadership was becoming indispensable, not only to the project but to the tribe as a whole. One afternoon, Tom and Lyria decided to visit the Memory Grove, a sacred site where the Amazari commemorated their ancestry. Here, trees were planted for each leader of the tribe, their growth symbolizing the continuation of their legacy. As they walked through the grove, Lyria explained the significance of each tree, sharing stories of the women who had shaped their tribe's history. This grove reminds us that we are part of something larger than ourselves, Lyria said, her voice imbued with reverence. It's a physical manifestation of our past and our connection to the land. Tom listened intently, his respect for the tribe's traditions deepening. He was moved by the way the Amazari honored their history, intertwining life and memory in such a tangible way. Inspired, he shared his own experiences with Lyria, talking about the places on Earth where humans commemorated their history. This exchange of cultural significance only strengthened their bond, rooting their burgeoning relationship in a deep mutual understanding and respect. Back at the lab, the team was preparing to present the second phase of the fertility project to the council. The new data was promising, showing a higher success rate and fewer adverse effects. Tom and the team worked long hours to compile the results, ensuring every detail was accounted for. On the day of the presentation, the atmosphere was tense but hopeful. The council gathered in the meeting hall, a spacious room at the heart of the research hub, surrounded by screens displaying data and live feeds from the lab. Tom led the presentation, with Lyria and Scylla at his side. "We've made significant adjustments based on our initial findings," Tom explained, pointing to the graphs and images that illustrated their progress. "These adjustments have resulted in improved outcomes and a better understanding of the treatment's effects on Amazari physiology." The council listened intently, asking insightful questions and discussing the implications of the findings. The mood lightened as the meeting progressed, the tribe's leaders visibly relieved and encouraged by the positive results. After the meeting, as the council members dispersed, Scylla approached Tom and Lyria, a rare smile playing on her lips. "Your efforts are bearing fruit," she said, her voice warm with gratitude. "You have brought new hope to our people." Her approval was a significant affirmation for Tom, but more so for Lyria, who had seen her role as a bridge between her people and this outsider now fully realized. As they left the meeting together, Lyria reached out to squeeze Tom's hand, a simple gesture that spoke volumes about their shared journey. That evening, under the luminous canopy of the forest, Tom and Lyria allowed themselves a moment of celebration, away from the lab and the constant pressure of their work. They shared a simple meal by the glowing stream, talking about the future and what it might hold for both their relationship and the tribe. In those quiet moments, with the symphony of the forest around them and the stars above, the line between their professional work and personal lives blurred into irrelevance. They were partners in every sense, their destinies intertwined with each other and with the fate of the Amazari. The challenges ahead were still daunting, but together, they felt prepared to face whatever might come, bolstered by their achievements and the unshakable bond they had formed.